Mr. Benga, Mr. Benga, my bag, my bag. Good evening and welcome to the State of the Liberation Movement with Secretary Martin Mungwa, PhD, FASCE, Fellow of the American Society of Civil Engineers. And as always, we commence with Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. It is understandable to have different factions in any liberation movement, but when a faction is only concerned about bringing in confusion into the camp of another faction and outrightly spilling hate for the other and does nothing else to push the liberation struggle further, then it sends a lot of message. First, the such a faction has no focus and leadership prowess, or such a faction is an enabler in the guise of another leadership team sponsored by the main enemy and sent out to cause distraction and confusion to the masses who believe in the struggle and are doing their best to make it work. Or such a faction is just trying to be relevant by doing these things to pull the winning faction down and be seen. But whatever the reason, the rational stance is such a faction does not deserve to be treated with any concerns or called one at all, as it does no good to the purpose of the struggle. Well, the winning team is matching on, and we have a lot of new reports on Undaunted tonight with the mouthpiece of the winning team here to expatiate more on the federal grand jury indictment of 3 from Ngokidunja County. Well, we've been waiting for this long enough. Let's not wait any longer and get the prime headlines.
These are the prime headlines for today. We'll start with this particular report that says there is no return pharmacy on site until Boyer. Now, this is because the CPDM militants are seen in Ambazonia. Also, more evidence the Ambazonian War of Independence puts La Republic de Cameroon on life support is a report that we will interest you today. Today, looking at the in-house slave at Tanga Njipol, as it says people construct houses without driver's license. Does that make sense to you? Well, you'll find out the reason for that report. Also, unholy bank transactions of millions involving Chris Anu uncovered. Hmm, this will definitely interest you. And today as well, we're going to be looking at the indictment update on the legal proceedings.
The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria, and they have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age, not with undaunted ABC Amber News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1990, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amber TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amber TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Amazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Amazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambertv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your good services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
All right, there is nobody as stubborn as a CPDM militant in Ambazonia. This obstinate character that goes at variance with the realities in Ambazonia was manifested again in Widikum local government area recently, where addicted CPDM militants still believe that only through the CPDM and President Paul Biya can the area develop. It is not forbidden to dream, but some dreams like those concerning CPDM and beer should not be made public, especially in Ambazonia, because they are only daydreams. Now, this is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Oni Obalance Desmat. Is here as always. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Onyi, and good evening to you all. Well, the CPDM and Pobia are the opium that influences the same militant to forget that they were just celebrating 40 years in power of someone who did nothing, while someone who mystically had hypnotized them to still believe that if he could do nothing in the last 40 years, it is now the time that he is suffering from dementia there and cannot differentiate between the west and the east, north from the south, is now a benefit from an injury, sunrise from sunset, that the over 90-year-old genocidal monarch and dictator can make a miracle. Well, after affirming their faith and belief in the court blood-letting society, this very daydreamer, CPDM people again paradoxically complain that Widdicombe still faces challenges such as the lack of electricity, bad roads, and a poor health network.
After 40 years of the very BRM, who else could have given them all these? These so-called militants have been possessed by the demonic satanic powers of their grandmaster in Yaoundé in voodoo practices. Otherwise, how on earth can one eat his cake and have it? This was during a section meeting of that moribund party, where, according to the section president, one Aqua Stephen Tambo said, "We have a firm resolve to relaunch party activities in full gear in our section in preparation for future stakes," adding that we continue to encourage militants of our great party to take advantage of the return to normal life and make up for lost time as we enter 2023. From his blatant lies publicly, Undaunted wonders when an election had recently been organized in Ambazonia since the genocidal war broke out.
Well, and we also at Undaunted notice the dishonesty and hard-headedness of the CPDM when the same mouth speaks of relaunching party activities in full gear, meaning that there had been nothing operational on the ground, and goes ahead to make an untrue statement, again saying we continue to encourage militants of our great party to take advantage of the return to normal life. While Aqua Stephen Tambo shamelessly calls a moribund CPDM party that ushered in corruption, embezzlement of public funds, nepotism, tribalism, divide and rule, and a senseless war that is killing Amazonians in tens of thousands, and even their party, a great party, indeed, that has kept in its entire cabinet, a whole government in Kondegi prison because of pilfering and lack of accountability and transparency.
This self-seeking Aqua Stephen Tambo, like one colonial La Republic Cameroon MP from Meme County, could be so horrible. Ekole Peters recently blatantly said there was no war in Ambazonia. While he added his own, we continue to encourage militants of our great party to take advantage of the return to normal life and make up for lost time as we enter 2023. The CPDM militant is very stubborn. They belong to an, what you can call a cultic realm. Well, they are birds of the same feather. If one in the southern zone of Virginia can openly say there is no war, and another in the northern zone says return to normalcy, then what are we talking about?
Well, we at Undaunted can say without fear that La Republic is a country of paradoxes, and we've seen this severally. It carves its own men and women who were blinded by money, just like Atanga Nji, who said there is no Anglophone problem, and today thousands dying, millions sent on involuntary exile as refugees, as the colonial La Republic du Cameroon genocidal military wreaks havoc, killing, maiming, raping, looting, and burning over 600 homes and villages. While Aqua Stephen Tambu, Ekole Peters, and their likes should not mislead opinion or their own people. There is no return to normalcy in sight until Boya is reached. The war rages on as La Republic du Cameroon refuses meaningful talks to end hostilities. But Amazonia must be free under its most dreaded, steadfast, focused, and distinguished leader, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
And moving on, colonial French Cameroon has abolished the annual 8 million pocket money that was given to parliamentarians every March season in the name of micro project financing, but which most parliamentarians, especially those from the southern Cameroons, Ambazonians, use for the upkeep of their multiple mistresses in Yaoundé. Now, from one failed slogan and empty propaganda to another, the Banana La Republic du Cameroon under dictator Paul Biya has proven beyond reasonable doubt that it has been caught up by time and has nothing again to write home with.
While the advent of dictator Biya witnessed flowering and mouth-watering slogans, one New Deal ushered in heightened corruption, nepotism, tribalism, rigor and moralization that ushered in laissez-faire and unprecedented moral decadence, the grand ambitions which led to an unrealistic and unfinished project to eternize self in power, then the grand realization led to more white elephant projects realized only on paper or in stomachs. The apprentice sorcerers may be a grand master as he hypnotized Camerooni. Emergence 2035 was another daydream. All these were mere flatteries embedded in French politics that are dead on arrival.
What used to be the parliamentary microfinance project had secretly been used by MPs for their private businesses and pleasure until when the Social Democratic Front SDF party came in at a time it was still vibrant to expose it in the 1990s, when the party was still the People's Party before the CPDM and Beer bought it over. It was a good eye opener to tell voters that they are entitled to 8 million francs CFA annually for a few projects in their constituencies, which the one party MP CPDM prior to that had been feeding fat on. It is in addition to their monthly salaries, while their constituents lacked basic necessities like farm to market roads, water, electricity, schools, health centers, medications, and health personnel.
Well, before this decision, the colonial La République du Cameroon members of parliament were lobbying for new cars for themselves, even when the living condition of the people they pretend to represent have not been improved on. Well, this decision comes in tandem with the crushing impact of the senseless war declared by the genocidal dictator Biya on innocent peace-loving southern Cameroons, Ambazonians, which La République du Cameroon is obviously losing, while Anglophones who still dream that La République du Cameroon will carry on the Ring Road, the Victoria Deep Seaport, or any other project in Amberland, what La République could not do for over 60 years, are truly being blinded and would need to see clearly. Now, moving on with our stories, the inadequacies in politics, La République du Cameroon's politics.
All right, so we can say that meritocracy has no place with the appointment of state men and women with the La République du Cameroon government. Nepotism, favoritism, and the other vices are the measuring rod for the attribution of functions in the colonial Paul Biya-led government. The level of development is a reflection of the administrators handling affairs in the Republic to Cameroon. This is more of the reason corruption has eaten deep into the fabrics of every sector. How can a so-called, or let's say, how can a minister of a territorial administration be unable to distinguish between a building permit and a driver's license?
In-house slave Atanga Paul, Minister of the Illegal Ministry of Territorial Administration, in a TV broadcast interview, said people construct haphazardly because they don't have driver's license. It is unfortunate for Cameroonians how they have people in positions where they lack knowledge. This unforgivable mistake was made after he, Atanga Ndi, visited the area where a landslide took place in Yaoundé that killed dozens of people. Well, before the press, Atanga Ndi said there are places which people are not supposed to occupy, like slums and hillside. He went further to say that those who construct in risk zones construct without even having their driver's license.
Well, from reports gathered, it is said that this is not the time that he is making such a statement and embarrassing himself before the press. He's just a clear image of the government he represents, a government where people are allowed to work in areas and sectors they know nothing of. A farmer placed at the head of the doctor's corps, and so on and so forth.
Anarchique. Il y a des zones marécageuses, il y a des zones où on ne peut pas faire des constructions, mais malheureusement, nous constatons que les gens y vont pour construire, sans permis de conduire. L'autorisation du gouverneur, du préfet, du sous.
Now there you have it. And Undaunted learned on the program brief on My Media Prime TV that bank accounts and other bank transactions to pay to Chris Anu as ransom. He instructs people on the ground to kidnap and collect. While Chris Anu, president of an unpopular faction claiming to be the leader of the peoples of southern Cameroon's Amazonia, is instead of fighting for the people, is rather feeding fat from the same people he claims to be fighting for. He is the brain behind so many kidnappings going on in southern Cameroon and evidence of the newspaper review on My Media TV. What other business generates a huge amount of money to be sent to Chris southern Cameroon if not for ransom from kidnappings?
Well, numerous bank accounts of Chris Anu, as well as transaction evidence of money forwarded to him, have been uncovered in southern Cameroon, captured in the program The Brief on My Media Prime TV. Well, let's take a look quick.
So on today's edition of the program, the newspapers are focusing on the Anglophone crisis as well as the World Cup in Qatar that is ongoing. Look at those major headlines that the newspapers are focusing on this morning. For the Anglophone crisis, Chris Anu, the self-styled secretary of the virtual Republic of Ambazonia, his activities in Cameroon has been uncovered. Several bank accounts and transactions that he's been carrying out, as per what the newspapers are telling us this morning, have been uncovered. Over 150 million francs CFA paid to him as ransom, as per the instruction he handed to individuals on the ground to kidnap people for ransom. This morning, some newspapers went investigating, and we have those headlines that we shall be debating on this morning in on this platform. Thank you for staying with us. Let's find out what.
Now, according to the reports, the information is in local newspapers. As reported, bank accounts belonging to Chris Anu and some evidence of monies forwarded to him have been uncovered. Transactions are money collected from people kidnapped, and the kidnappers carry out their operations based on instructions from him.
Now, this is coming days after his residence in the U.S. was combed by members of the SWAT team of the U.S. police. This information was carried on a Facebook page named Stateless Joha Platform. The page also carried an alert message Chris Anu from the number. Christopher Anu now was one-time communication officer for the interim government, but backslided to form another faction and made himself president, one who denounces its country's own flag.
Well, the reporter, as captured by My Media Prime, has come to bring to light the activities of the faction that Chris Anu is heading as president. Now, what does this mean? From one thing to the another of instructing armed groups on the home front to kidnap people from and the money forwarded to him.
From a lot of recent evidence, it is clear that Chris Anu is not for Southern Cameroon's Ambazonians, from denouncing the flag of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonians to the recent public display of deep hate for the interim government, and these evidence found against him in being the mastermind of kidnaps in Ambazonia, to a long list of other clear signs that shows his outright disregard for the actual purpose of the struggle. It is such a shame.
Speaking of hate for the interim government, there is this other video we would like you to watch.
Let me give an answer. Let us live within our realities in the diaspora, okay? And while also our people on the ground are living within I want us to be factual. Listen, once we have defined and we have said, we define and we say part A, part B, this person in the diaspora is a black leg, and it is the person has made all those points of a black leg, massa. We can rally and we got mob beating, get that person well beaten. Listen, nobody, no ambassador in the diaspora has been beaten. That's a simple truth. Just take for example, people in USA in a whole meeting, like let's say calls now for a gathering meeting, calls now for a gathering, and there's a public open fighting. It's an open fight. They won't want anyone. They won't know who has hit Sako on his head, punch him on his face. Hit Sako on his head, punch him on his face. Open beating, you know. So we need to employ that act. There are Nakambokos in the diaspora. Nakambokos, people that they need just €5 to get someone scatter someone.
All right, so you would want to ask, who are we really fighting?
The
What
worst
is
part
our
is
goal? What is our focus?
I think a little about this video. I mean, it's worse to see black legs talk about black legism. I mean, what do you have to say about this video you just saw?
Well, basically, I think it's loss of focus. There should be one target. The target. Everyone should know who is the enemy and have the focus. But you see, where people lose the focus and begin to fight who they should be respecting, who they should be learning from,
Amen.
then you notice that there is a long way for some other persons to go. But then,
Well said.
yeah, first of all, it is understandable to have actions, by the way, now in any liberation movement around the world. But when a faction is only concerned about bringing in confusion into the camp of another faction and outrightly spilling hate for the other and does nothing else to push the liberation struggle further, then it sends the wrong message at the end of the day. But the interim government, led by President Samuel Ikonesako, would definitely stand for the right thing and stand for the truth until we get to Boya.
Truly, he will. Well, it is such a shame, instead of focusing on the common enemy, that is, if La Republic is really the common enemy for Chris Anu's team, and I mean, if it's really the same enemy they share, because I don't see any reason why you put so much energy and so much tactics and planning how to mob the person who is pushing the vision, pushing the struggle to its destination. You find a strategy to plot against him instead of La Republic's Cameroon's incursions into Ambazonia. It is really something I can't wrap my hands around. Well, that being very unprofessional in every sense, politically and every other sphere, we'll just move on to the next story of tonight.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Amazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
All right, so getting to another interesting and sensitive story, the indictment, and we want to give you updates on the legal proceedings. Now, the IG legal team made up of three great men, three fire-eating legal luminaries, Barrister Garner, Barrister Frujonso, and Barrister Mbesia, called on Ambazonians to remain calm as they described the matter as a golden opportunity for Ambazonians to make case plainly to a word that has been adamant ever since the colonial Republic of Cameroon dictator Paul Biya, the occupier, declared war on the peace, loving, and justice-seeking Ambazonians for over 5 years and counting.
Golden opportunity indeed. Well, through John Nso made it clear that the executive and the legislature of the U.S. knows exactly what the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonians are going through. John Frunso, who met Cardinal Toomey, acknowledges that Cardinal Toomey is an eminent man of God and a speaker of truth. He said that if Cardinal Toomey were to still be alive, he would have been brought to speak the truth. Money ransom were actually taken. Barrister Nso emphasized that there was also a video where Cardinal Toomey said he was only interrogated and released the following day. The indictment is a very easy case. He has had the impression that the US is not so knowledgeable about the peoples of southern Cameroon's Amazonia since the world is ignoring and only talking about Ukraine. He reminded Ambazonians that before the war on the 1st of October 2017, La République du Cameroon used helicopters and gunned down 120 youths, both in Boya and Bamenda, and yet was not mentioned anywhere in the world.
Barrister Tim Bessier highlighted that nothing alleged in his principle or is against the Cameroonian law. Nothing alleged is concrete yet. Now, and that aside, he says none of the alleged mentioned or kidnapped are persecuted by the U.S. or protected rather by the U.S. and so the United States have no power to arrest. He asked a very pertinent question. He asked, why can't they be prosecuted by the fiscal government in place? Explaining, Barrister Mbesi also highlighted that the U.S. judiciary system can't go to a foreign country where the said country is not ready to prosecute because it's not illegal. Now, if the government is called on its people to raise money for refugees, for its people, the question is it illegal? The truth is, when the people are assaulted, they can't retreat. They must stand and fight for their rights. La République du Cameroon army going to Ngabo, killing, raping, and killing children. Why can't the Southern Cameroons defend her people? Why can't we defend our people? Is another question.
According to Barrister Ghana, he has been following up with the court case. He is strongly following closely with the lawyers. He highlighted the charges, and they are: 1, conspiracy to provide material support and resources to provide resources for weapons of mass destruction; 3, receiving money for ransom for participating in Montreal. He made it loud and clear the interim government does not kidnap civilians or take ransom. The interim government does not encourage or seek to bring duress to civilians on the home front. All we seek is the restoration of our statehood and sovereignty. The interim government of Ambazonia rise up because French Cameroon sent by France to kidnap, rape, burn, destroy. They are the aggressors. The charges may be dismissed, hence does not stand in power.
All right, Barrister Ghana gave some law definition that you would find interesting. He explained that when you are accused of a crime, there is an act, an intent. They can be excused by different defense, just as there is self-defense as well. Now, let's give you the video of Cardinal Toomey as he reviews some truth.
And ashes. I saw the house of a man who had run away with his wife and 6 children. Their house had been reduced to dust and ashes. I saw the material of a building, what project in beam. The pipes had been all broken. I saw years of a cooperative union, which had all been broken down. I saw the house of an old man, ramshackle, and I was told that the army had made away with 2 generators of the family. I saw a man looking completely depressed, from whom the army had made away with 800,000 CFA francs. I saw a bar of a young man running a small business, from where hundreds of bottles of beer had been taken away by the army. And what could not be taken away was broken. And pieces. I saw windows of houses broken. And I was struck by an old man, by the question an old man asked me, Cardinal, just what wrong have we committed that the army betrayed us this way, as if we were, foreigners who had come to ransack the village. I saw crops, corn, beans, coffee reduced to dust and ashes. They have it. And I asked the people, what did you had committed as a fault? What was your fault?
And during your stay in the northwest region, is Cardinal, did you observe that gunshots and parties have become nearly a daily issue?
To be frank with you, I observed none of those. I saw nothing. This village people told me that the army said they were looking for guns, but they found no gun.
You observe that gunshots and gun parties have become nearly a daily.
To be frank with you, I observed none of those. I saw this village. In this village, people told me that the army said they were looking for guns, but they found no gun. This was simple, innocent people. And what was the reason for the presence of the army in Beam? I'm told that a soldier had been gunned down by a young man in Yonkui. Yonkui is a village far away from Beam. So the people could not understand why the army came to attack them in Beam. So my conclusion is, I ask myself, rather, if they find a criminal in a village, does everybody in the village become a criminal? That's the question I ask myself.
No, you were equally in the southwest region of the country.
When I was coming back, I spent a night in Mamfe, and I saw the Bishop of Mamfe, Andrew Nkea, who had visited some villages that were reduced to dust and ashes, and an old woman who could not save herself was burnt alive in a village. The people would like to go back, but to where?
All right, and Amazonians and the world can hear clearly from the man that has been alleged was kidnapped by our brothers. Now, Amazonia has been under attack for the past 6 years, with lives and properties taken by the enemies. Where was the international community, or where has the international community been? Well, Ukraine is under similar attack, and the world is for them. Now, the question you will ask yourself is, don't Southern Cameroonians have a right to self-defense? French Cameroon started the war. Our people only picked up self-defense, which is not illegal. Meanwhile, France, Japan, England, Switzerland are all there supporting and defending Ukraine. One Cameroonians mounting self-defense and defend her people. Now, you should be reminded that the United States on April 21st, 1961, in the UN, 8 voted for the independence of Ambazonia. What is in international law does not use that law to self-defense. We want to know. Now, while we are asking for that question, let's see this press release.
So you can see this on the screen. In a related development, there was a press release by Secretary Martin PhD, FASC, on Monday, December 5th, 2022, where he reiterated that Amazonian Restoration Forces do not kidnap people for ransom. We note further that there is generalized insecurity in the territory of Amazonia due to essentially to the uncontrolled, disorderly, professional misconduct of the Yaoundé military and their sponsored private militia, commonly referred to as Amber Boys. He also stated that the interim government is reminding La République du Cameroon that self-defense is a universal right recognized and protected under international law.
And moving on, back to draft. The Department of Finance and Resource Mobilization, DFRM, has issued a press release as well. Now, the subject was on Amazonians focusing on the federal draft. The meeting's deliberation centered primordially on picking and validating dates for the pending draft, including the federal draft, Department Foreign Affairs, and the HSS. Now, after a debate, the following dates were agreed upon. Federal draft comes up this Saturday, 10th of December 2022. Foreign Affairs drafts on the 17th of December 2022. And the HSS draft comes up on the 23rd of December 2022. Now, firm commitments were made that the federal draft be held on the above date, with the only payment platform being the National Treasury, prioritizing same-day cash payment. Same-day cash payment. Now, the other dates are tentatives pending on ongoing investigation on the Hope Foundation and other interim government-affiliated NGO payment platform.
Well, the following statutory amounts were agreed upon for department, institutions, and individuals. One, the counties, Buyi, Meme, Indian, Labelem, KMC, DMC, Oyo, Menchum, Fako, Manyu, Ngoketunja, $1,000. Two, the local government areas, LGAs, $500 each, Mezam and Mumo. Then the third, countries, $500 each. And the fourth, individuals, senior stakeholders, the interim government leadership, cabinet members, ethics committee, judiciary council, interim House of Representatives, IHR, sympathizers, senior citizens, $250 each. The fifth is potential donors and sympathizers would be approached for $500 minimum support each.
Now, another decision that was arrived at during this discussion was that appraisal letters will be sent out to those who have paid their 2022 drafts in full, as well as to those who pledged and promised to complete the payment by December 31st, 2022. Now, understandably, for whatever reason, donors have not been able to meet up with their heart's desires. Their finance department is appealing that they take this responsibility offered by the inactivities on the draft schedules to maximize their efforts to complete their pledges by the 30th day of November, which has passed. Now, it was also agreed upon that various alumni and cultural associations be contacted in a bid to request funding for various humanitarian endeavors such as refugees, the peace, the wounded, those in the bushes. Now, this is from the DFRM and signed by Niger. Before we get to Dr. Mungwa, we have Barrister T. Mbesia here. Remember, in their indictment and the update on the legal proceedings, you already know that he is an authority in this field. Before we get to Dr. Mungwa, I would want to get the thoughts of Barrister T. Mbesia and an extra icing on the cake in information. I'm sure Amazonians will want to get a thing or two from the latest update on this particular case. Barrister Tim Mbesi, I don't know if you are available for us right now. All right, but if you are not available, ladies and gentlemen, we'll definitely get back to Barrister Mbesi. But without waste of your time, let's get across to Dr. Martin Mungwa, PhD, FASCE, as he gives us his weekly briefing. Dr. Martin, please. Mungwa, are you there?
With the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Amber, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
All right, welcome back. So we just got informed by our technical crew that Barrister Mbesia around and back. All right, Barrister Team Mbesia, thank you so much for joining us on Undaunted tonight. Well, like I said earlier on, you are an authority when it comes to legal matters. And so would want to get an up-to-date with the activities, with the proceedings and the indictments. You know, we read through some of your words from yesterday's exclusive interview with Mr. Tar, and you said a lot of things. One thing that captured my heart here is when you said that what the US is holding on have no power. It has no power when it comes to being concrete. Would want you to expatiate on that and every other update that we need to know.
Well, if this updates, I don't think much has changed. All what we know as far as updates is concerned is that our three brothers have been indicted. All of them will face trial in Kansas. Right now, all of them are not yet in Kansas. Lamni was picked up in New York. In New York, yes. She was picked up in Minnesota, and then they're all en route to the courthouse in Kansas. All what we have been trying to do is to get them out on bail. But even when they get bail, they are heading for Kansas, the federal district court in Kansas. That is where they would face trial. That's when the court case will start. That's the update up to this point.
Okay, the second part of the question was when you made a statement yesterday that with what is on the table, there is no concrete evidence yet that it might be waived. That as well was concurred by Barrister Van Ghana yesterday. So would want you to give us more light on that because that could be a beam of hope as well.
Yes, what we'll have now before what we know in this case, like in most other criminal cases, there are allegations. Whoever is a complainant is alleging that this happened, this happened, this happened. The district attorney, who is called the prosecutor, is gleaning the facts from what the FBI agent or agents gathered from the complainants. That's what they said. This is unchallenged evidence. Not evidence. This is unchallenged allegations. And so there's nothing proven there. They are all allegations. You go to the district attorney through the FBI and allege a number of things that you think, you believe have been done wrong to you. And the record that they look at the law and say, okay, if these things were done, they violate this part of the law, they violate this part of the law. Based on those claims or allegations, the FBI agent, who is the investigator, call it the gendarme or the policeman in our own terms, takes this information to the district attorney, what we call in Cameroon, the state council. When they have that in the American system, the district attorney or the state council in Cameroon takes it, they convene what they call the grand jury. In this case, the federal grand jury. It is the federal grand jury that indicts. They draw out this and say, well, we have this information. That A, B, C, or A did this, did B, did C, did E. and we think it's a crime. We think that he should go before the court and answer these crimes. The person who was being accused is not even there. And so the grand jury will approve it. Say, okay, if you have all this, I approve this charge for these guys to go to court. In this country, you don't arrest people and keep them in your house. You don't just go and take people like you do in Cameroon. Based on that approval from the grand jury, the district attorney now moves out to go to the person who is being accused or the persons being accused and say, we've come for you. The man will say, why? For example, he say, well, this is a grand jury indictment. Here you are being charged. We have this order from the grand jury, signed by the grand jury, to take you to court to answer these charges against you. That's what they are doing. Because the grand jury indictment says, take the guy to the court, to a particular court, a given court. And so if you're in New York, for example, or somebody was found in Minnesota, and the court is in Kansas, the FBI agent in Minnesota comes to your house on the basis of the grand jury indictment that was received in Kansas. The distributed there is like having an arrest warrant in Cambe to bring somebody from Bamenda. He goes there and says, well, when they go to Bamenda, since the rule is that you should take it to the court, they will take it to the nearest court in Bamenda. And the court in Bamenda will say, okay, I have these instructions to send you to Nkambe, in this case, Kansas. That's the basis on which they are moving with you. That court in Bamenda can grant you bail. But the first thing is that from the day that you are indicted, that they charge you formally, that formal charge is put again on your name. By American law, you are entitled to a lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, money for a lawyer, you don't want to do it yourself, the federal government must give you a lawyer. Because by their law, before the court, it is your right to have a lawyer. So from the very day that they approve this indictment against you, whether you are being taken to the first court in Bamenda or the first court in Mengwi or Kumba, the judge that will appear before him, before you continue to move, will not do anything until you have a lawyer before him or before her. And so that is what the process is. Again, the question was, they have no foundation yet. You will not, they are all allegations. They are all allegations made by somebody who is a complainant. And so, do we know the person who is a complainant? No, right now we don't know who is the complainant. You can imagine the complainant from reading the charges, but you don't know who the person is. Shall we know that person? Yes. In the American judicial system, there's something they call discovery. Their trial in the American criminal trial system is not a trial by ambush. The prosecutor, who stands there in Cameroon, they call the state counsel, is duty bound to turn over the list of the witnesses he or she wants to use to prosecute you to your lawyer. That process called discovery of the evidence they're using against you is not yet started. It will be done by the lawyers when they appear formally before the court that will try them. So when they get to Kansas, before the trial ever starts, the law requires that the district attorney, who is the prosecutor in this case, turns over all what they have indicting our people to their lawyers. That is when we will know what it is. That is when we will know who is the accuser. That is when we will know what evidence they have. They say, for example, that they conspire and took money somewhere. Did they have a receipt? What did you do all this? How did you get all this information? We don't know. That's why right now they are bare speculations. And in law, these people are not guilty of anything yet. They are presumed to be innocent until proven guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. People don't know what this means. If the dots don't add up, if the dots leave a space unanswered, that space, which is a doubt, which is something that does not convince the judge or the jury, is interpreted in favor of the accused. All doubts in the prosecution by the US system are taken for the benefit of the accused, because you are presumed to be innocent until you are proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. These are the key words. I wonder if this explains what you want.
Actually, it does.
Yeah, actually, it does. It does. All right, would be asking more questions, but that's after we get the briefings from Dr. Martin Mungwa. All right, so fellow Ambazonians, it's time for us to have Secretary Martin Mungwa, PhD, FASCE, Fellow of the American Society of Civil Engineers. Dr. Mungwa, please.
Good day, Ambazonians, and welcome to today's presentation. The topic of my discourse today is Ambazonia on Trial, La République du Cameroon's 18 Seconds of Fame. Dear Ambazonians and members of the international community, first of all, on behalf of your interim government, we would like to extend a 21-gun salute to all valiant Ambazonia restoration forces in the home front, those preparing for self-defense duties elsewhere, and those in transit to the home front to protect Ambazonians from the state terrorists of La République du Cameroon. To all Ambazonians everywhere and sympathizers in the diaspora who continue to support the suffering people of Ambazonia at home, we of the interim government do not forget and will never forget to honor our brave people in these challenging times. Last week, we were awoken to the disturbing news of the indictment of 3 comrades resident in the United States by a federal court in Missouri. Nestor Langme, Claude Chi, and Frank Cheney were charged on 3 counts, ranging from kidnapping to providing material support to armed groups in Amazonia. In particular, the indictment mentioned weapons of mass destruction, money laundering, kidnapping, and above all, terrorism. The interim government, the people of Ambazonia, and President Samuel Komisako would like to inform the families, and especially the wives and children of our indicted comrades, that they are not alone. As a people, we are fighting an existential war, and an indictment of any one of us is an indictment of the people. In short, Ambazonia is on trial, and we will stand by them to the end. We have also witnessed La République du Cameroon fly-by-night lawyers, or so-called legal experts, who are already drawing conclusions as to the outcome and claiming instant victory for La République du Cameroon, assuring their captive audience that the entire IG would be arrested and brought under Napoleonic justice in La République kangaroo courts. Further, what these La République du Cameroon so-called legal minds have hidden from the docile and ignorant public is that the United States of America does not practice Napoleonic or civil law. As shall be in Amazonia, the United States practices common law, whose fundamental difference is that one is innocent before proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt, not the other way around in despotic La République du Cameroon. In other words, the burden of proof is with the accuser, all the enablers and proponents of the one Cameroon solution. Dear Ambazonians, if dictator Paul Biya thinks that La République du Cameroon's 18 seconds of fame will conceal the failed monologue in Quebec, whose catastrophic outcome we all now know, then we can all agree that finally the Biya junta is on its last leg. The shackles of the December 26, 1959 Accords that kept Amazonia in captivity and servitude will soon be shattered, and Ambazonia will cease to be a part of a corrupt, inept, and inconsequential governance structure whose institutions are simply rubber stamps with neither the mandate nor authority to resolve pertinent issues of state. In 16 years of the Ambazonia War of Independence from French Cameroon, neither the Cabinet, Senate, nor House of Assembly has had a debate on the matter or produced any document of a thought process charting the way forward. Dear Ambazonians, we would like to share the statement of the judge who released Comrade Frank Cheney without bail to illustrate the fluidity or perhaps the hints of a lack of a legal basis. In the courtroom, after the FBI agent who monitored and questioned Frank narrated his part of the story, a cross-examination of the court-appointed defense attorney exposed an apparent lack of a fundamental understanding of, one, the root causes of Ambazonia's plight under La République du Cameroun, La République du Cameroun under the colonial dragnet of France. Two, Ambazonia's right to self-determination under United Nations Charter. And three, the history of Ambazonia within the context of the genocidal war with La République du Cameroun. The judge listened attentively to that initial defense and said there was no reason to seek bail. It was a victory, no matter how small, as the judge recognized that Frank was not a violent man and had his community behind him. He also stated that death is not justified anywhere in the world, but no crime was committed in the United States. Further, as President Samuel Ikomo mentioned last week, you cannot convict someone of terrorism when neither the organization he is supporting, the interim government, nor the country it represents, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, is listed as a terrorist organization by the United States Congress. With regard to the other two comrades, Claude Chi and Nestor Langman, this is what we know. Claude is still in custody, and the good news is that the interim government has secured an outstanding lawyer to initiate his release. As for Nestor Langman, he is in Ohio on transit to Kansas, where the trial will take place. The IG will contact him upon arrival to establish his defense team. The interim government has mobilized Ambazonians and friends of Ambazonia to assist in every way possible. Dear Ambazonians, God is hearing our prayers, and this case is the greatest gift to us since the genocidal war began. This is a golden opportunity for the world to see what the evil regime of La République du Cameroun is capable of doing. Ambazonia is on trial, and it did not start today. Since 2017, 4 La République du Cameroun lobbyists have tried to indict Ambazonia in the United States Congress. The case and evidence before international law was very compelling to Cameroon until they made counter-arguments, undeniable facts, and the weight of the law. The fruit of their nefarious efforts only strengthened Ambazonia. The United States Senate Resolution 684 and the temporary protective status point to the triumph of proven facts over hollow arguments of the evil regime in La République du Cameroun. This regime in Yaoundé denies all accusations until caught on camera. A case in point is the shooting death of a woman with children tied to her back in 2020. La République du Cameroun denied all until a determined BBC journalist nailed La République du Cameroun on Satan's cross with forensic evidence. Then Cameroon admitted shooting dead 2 mothers and their infant babies in one of the most barbaric acts ever committed on camera. As the Bible says, in the mouth of 2 witnesses shall the facts be established. The judicial evidence in our case is irrefutable. The atrocity crimes against Ambazonia is heart-wrenching, and at each turn, La République has been sidelined. Removal from AGOA, the Africa Growth Opportunity Act, withdrawal of U.S. military support, U.S. Senate resolution recommending talks with no preconditions and a temporary protected status. These are all successes within the United States, with President Samuel Ekumasako as head of the interim government. That's not all. Ambazonia won La République du Cameroon in the Bamenda High Court, the International Court of Human and People's Rights in Banjul, the Gambia, and the Nigerian High Court. Today, we have a pending case against members of the Biya junta at the International Criminal Court of Justice in The Hague. Our existential fight is real, and our right to self-determination is grounded in international law. As Barrister Valentine Ghana eloquently stated, the crucial factual proposition is, does Ambazonia have a right to self-determination? The African Commission in decision 266/33 said yes, Ambazonia is a sovereign people with rights to self-determination. Nowhere in the world has La République du Cameroon presented a convincing argument in support of its illegal occupation of Ambazonia. Having failed in the United States executive and legislature to indict Ambazonia, it's now the turn of the judiciary, and we are ready for that fight. Dictator Paul Biya has no right whatsoever in international law to admit assimilation and diffuse the resulting fight for independence by granting any special status to the component federal state of Ambazonia without the consent of the sovereign people of Ambazonia in the failed Cameroon Federation. We Ambazonians shall never retreat. We shall never surrender until we reach Boya. Short live the revolution. Long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Thank you, and over to you.
Someone mentioned during the week that these indictments and these series of arrests might just be a blessing in disguise. It might just be a way that the international community would get to actually hear what has happened. Remember that even some persons that we call blacklegs are saying that there is no war in Amazonia, in the likes of Ecole Peters and the rest. So we can see that a lot of them are going ahead, destroying the efforts that we are putting on ground. But we know where we all are heading to, and so we would ignore them for now. Now heading on to the indictment. Now we have these conspiracies here. We have what they have been, what do we call it? What they have been allegedly, what the crime that they allegedly committed. We have conspiracy to provide material support and resources, provide resource for weapons of mass destruction, receiving money for a ransom, participating in money laundering. How does this come about when all we are seeking for is for our statehood and for our sovereignty? Dr. Mungwa, what can you think of all of these four outlined conspiracy that our brothers has been alleged for?
Well, I mean, I'm not a legal mind, and I wouldn't pretend to be one. But I have this expression: you don't shoot an eagle in flight. It's this case is like the eagle. And it is very important that those who actually put these charges together, they will come to explain. I don't want to start contemplating on what was in their minds. I mean, you talk about weapons of mass destruction. We don't have a plane, let alone an airport. So how are you going to carry weapons of mass destruction? And you are going to detonate that where? Was it in Ambazonia or in La République du Cameroon? So I'm just lost for words. I don't know. Maybe it's my vocabulary that's limited, or is the vocabulary of the person who was making these charges. Weapons of mass destruction. I know about chemical warfare. I don't know what industry that we have. We don't even have a pharmaceutical industry where you can say that they can bypass some of those products or take them for other uses that can be considered illegal. We don't have that. So these are words coming from that indictment. So I will be very excited to know in more detail who put that together and what was the intent of that of those charges. And from there, I think Ambazonians will be ready to know exactly what La République has been hiding from us. Over to you.
that as a legal mind and as an authority. When we looked at these alleges, we were wondering, and Dr. Mungwa has clearly explained that he doesn't want to dabble into this because he's not an authority in this field. It seems to be too much, or probably should we say petty at the same time. Conspiracy to provide material support and resources, provide resources for weapons of mass destruction, which is one of the points that we all are surprised at. Receiving money for ransom, participating in money, which is another huge one here. Dr. Barrister Mbesiere, please let's get your thoughts on these allegations.
I think what we need to start with is to understand that these people are being charged, the indicted are being charged under American law. Under that 4-count indictment, it's a 4-count indictment. The key word you should take home is conspiracy to do this or do that. In American law, conspiracy is one of the most difficult elements to prove. And you're charging 3 people here for conspiring. The 3 people don't even live in one town. They don't even live in one state. And they are conspiring to commit an act in a foreign country. What does conspiracy and law mean? It means agreement in fine detail, total agreement on every aspect of the crime you are alleging, where all they are agreed. For example, they conspired to kidnap and take ransom. It's not enough that they took ransom now. They conspired to do it. How do they conspire? You must show, for example, that they all agreed that A or B will be adopted at a specific time. And that A and B will give a specific amount of money. And they acted with a conspiracy directed to somebody there, a specific person, to carry out those acts on their behalf. That is how you establish conspiracy to do something in American law. Those of us who live in the United States, there's something we can just use as an example. We are aware of the last elections, 2020 elections in Cameroon, in the US, where Trump was defeated. But something happened thereafter. People stormed Washington, D.C. to prevent the certification of his defeat or of the election of Biden. Arrests were made. People have been charged to court. Others have been charged for conspiracy to prevent the certification of the elections. They were all in Washington, D.C. They were at the Capitol. They stormed the Capitol. All of them who were charged. They were all at the Capitol. Some with cutlasses, some with spears. But it has not been easy for the district attorney, for the prosecutors to prove that they conspired to do that. Most of the charges that have used the word that they conspired to go and storm the Capitol have failed because the people came from different towns with different vehicles, different motives, with different weapons. They did not all agree that, okay, bring your spear, I will bring my cutlass, you will bring your gun, and then we shall all storm room A or room 2 or room 3 or room 5 of the Capitol. They did not agree on that, so they did not conspire, even though they all came there acting on their own volition to do wrong things. They did not agree on what they were going to do, how they were going to do it as a group. So the conspiracy did not work. It has not worked up to this point. A good number would have been convicted, even sentenced, but not for conspiracy. Because for conspiracy to stand, the participants, the people being accused, must agree on every fine detail. Again, here, these are people who are being accused of conspiring to break American law because they are being charged for breaking American law. not to break the American law somewhere in the United States, to break the American law somewhere in a foreign land, using foreign actors who live there. These actors are not in court here. They're not among them being charged. At the best, if they do come in, they will become witnesses to show, well, on that day, we sat down with Labney, with Nestor, with Chi, and they will all agree that on this specific day, we will cash Tume, we will cash the fund of so I will take this amount of money and distribute it in this format. They are not here. They are not in the United States. And so, how are you going to establish the conspiracy? If you don't establish conspiracy, my opinion is the church collapses. Not even to go to the detail of nuclear weapons. I don't know what they mean by nuclear weapons. I don't understand what they mean by nuclear weapons, honestly. Because in this world, in this modern world of today, very few countries even have nuclear weapons. The ones that we know publicly that have nuclear weapons are the United States. They are Russia. They are India. They are Pakistan. And that there's Israel. Even the famous Germany, they denounced their nuclear weapons. So much more of my brother Lamni or Nestor or Chi, who probably has never even seen a nuclear weapon in his life, conspired to take one to Cameroon. What's a nuclear weapon? To do what with it? A nuclear weapon, by its definition, is a defensive weapon. It is defensive. It's not an offensive weapon. You keep it to deter your enemy. That if you come and attack me, I'll let this loose on you and all of us will die. You don't use your nuclear weapon and survive yourself. It's what we can call in this country a weapon of mass destruction. It destroys massively. Unselected, it destroys massively. That's why, for example, you find America is okay, oh, North Korea is having this, because they let it loose, it will kill all the Americans who are found in South Korea. It will eliminate everybody. An idea of a nuclear weapon can be gotten from the Second World War when the United States detonated a bomb in Japan. Everybody died. The effect of that bomb came right to Cameroon. Our people were sick. I was a little child. And then they asked me what the American people said that they get atom. I don't know the main atom bomb. The effect of the atom bomb detonated by the Americans in China, in Japan, affected people right in our own backyard there. It has never been tried again before.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. Again, I don't know whether Lamni, I don't know whether Chi or his friend, I don't know whether they've ever seen a nuclear weapon in their lives. And so to charge them for conspiring to...
We doubt, we doubt. Well, thank you so much for explaining these 4 counts charges. Thank you so much for explaining it. But then yesterday, when during that exclusive interview with Mr. Tar, you mention, it wasn't you exactly, but of course it was Barrister Ghana that made mention of act and intent when it comes to self-defense. He tried to explain that there is in law, there is an act and there is an intent, and then there is self-defense. So I don't know if you would want to throw more light on it. Act and intent and self-defense. Of course, we've been bruised, we've been brutalized, we've been raped, and all manner of evil has been done to our people. So we have the right to have self-defense. But then when he talked about an act and the intent in law, I want you to expatiate on that a little bit more so that our people can understand. Remember that we are here as a voice piece to the Ambazonians in the home front. Let's have you explain that for us a bit.
Yes, in criminal law, for a criminal offense to be founded, as Mr. Ghana said, and I'm trying to explain, for a criminal offense to be founded, it has two basic elements. The act itself must be performed. For example, if they say you kill somebody with a gun, you shot somebody with a gun, the act of shooting
All right.
must have taken place. That's the act. He shot. And then the intent, that's the intention. What was your intention when you were shooting the gun? I use that like a good example. If you were, let me say that we're so fond of the credit and where people use gun guns. If in the gun credit place, you had your gun to celebrate this gun pilot thing that will dance and shoot guns in the air, and you shot the gun in your process of celebration dancing, and by mistake that gun shot someone who was standing on top of the hill, and the person died. You cannot be accused of murder because you shot the gun. Yeah, that's the act. Your intention was never to kill somebody, was never to kill that particular person. So your act is not what you intended. That guy died. But you can still be charged. What will you be charged for example? You'll be charged for negligence. You negligently forgot that people could stand on top of the hill, that your gun could mistakenly have killed him. As long as it is a hilly place, you saw people standing up there, you should have imagined that this my gun will let go could harm someone. That can be attributed to you. But not murder, because you did not fire the gun, that's the act, with the intention of killing someone. That's what intent and act means. And then
All right.
you mentioned self-defense, which
Yes.
Basangana said. Self-defense does not go to this. If you were sitting in your house and somebody was attacking you with a cutlass or with something dangerous weapon, was coming with a gun, and you got a cutlass or a spear to challenge him, and that person, you are lucky that your spear hit his head or went through his neck and he died, you will not be accused of killing him because you were defending yourself against an equal imminent danger. He was coming to kill you. And so you flung your spear, you flung your cutlass, it took off his head, he died. You were defending yourself. That is proportionate. The act you took, your cutlass, your spear, was not even as dangerous as a gun. But you're lucky. In fact, you should be decorated. You're lucky that your axe or your spear was able to take away that guy, take away that danger from you. That is not just, that is as far as you are concerned. Again, you are all sitting there, your ladies. If somebody is coming to attack you, or you have your children, you have babies with you, you are carrying two of your children in your car or in your house, you have nothing other than your hoe, your mortar stick. And then somebody is coming to attack your children. I got that mortar stick, I hit the child, the criminal said, and the person died. That is self-defense, not of yourself, but of your children. You have the right to defend them. So you are defending not yourself, that you are defending your child or your dependent, whoever it is. So nobody will charge you. You took a mortar stick. Yes, you knew that the mortar stick would kill that guy, and you hit him. The intention was there to kill somebody in attempt to defend yourself against imminent danger, or defend your child, or defend your property. Somebody is trying to run away with your car. That's property. An armed robber takes your car, he's trying to run away with your car. And then you have something and you successfully hit him on the waist, and he falls down and breaks his neck and dies. You're not going to be charged for murdering him because you were defending your property. The car is yours. So that is how the notion of self-defense goes on. You can tie it to our case now, which I said yesterday. Follow what Christian Tumi was saying. The people are coming, destroying the whole village, killing people. Women are running into the bushes. Old men cannot even go nowhere. And then they are lucky to have a strong boy, just one strong single boy in the house. They are Goliath and David, who takes the spear or a stone and say, look, Before you kill my father, before you kill my mother, before you burn our house, I would fight back. And takes down the enemy who is attacking his village or attacking his parents. That is self-defense. That is how it works legally, at least in the United States. And since these people are being charged before the United States judges, they are going to be tried based on the American law, which is what I've explained to you. They're not going to be tried based on some jungle law in Cameroon or somewhere in Africa. Now, that's what self-defense means. Thank you.
There seems to be a lot of bright sides to it. There is a lot of bright sides to it. Outside the fact that the international community we get to have the international community's ear. Why is it a golden opportunity? I said yesterday, what other reasons makes it a golden opportunity? And also speaking on that, before I get to that, I think there's this tweet here from Thibault Nage, and it says, concurring to what I just said, the arrest of 3 U.S. citizens of Cameroonian origin for allegedly breaking U.S. law in helping the Amazonian insurgency should not negate the international community's support for Anglophone Cameroonians just cause of seeking fundamental human rights. So, like I said, there is a lot of bright sides to this story. What other golden opportunities there?
Right. Are you asking me?
Yeah, go on, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, I think, it only makes sense. I don't think this case will be adjudicated in the United States without going to the scene of the crime. So I hope that this is going to be a golden opportunity for the United Nations or international or American FBI and other law enforcement officers to go to the scene of the crime, that is in Gokitunja. And I hope that when they get to Yaoundé, the junta will not say, oh, we're going to give you a briefing and that will be the end of it. They will have to go to Bamenda and they will travel to Ngokitunja and do the investigations themselves. This is something that La Republique has always been very unhappy to abide by. They don't want anybody to go to the scene of the crime because they're going to uncover things that they don't want the world to know about. So that's why I said earlier, you don't shoot an eagle at full flight or in full flight. This is an eagle. This case is an eagle. And we should not, by any means, sort of dismiss it in court. Let it take its normal course. They will send investigators to the home front and they will see for themselves exactly what is happening. I don't believe that this case can be adjudicated without going to the scene of the crime. And that's my opinion on that. And again, in keeping with what Thibault Nash said, it is a golden opportunity, and there they will see the evidence to support our fight for independence. Over to you.
Barrister Tim,
Let
in
me
case you
just
want
let
to
me just
react
add
on
this
it,
to
there's
that.
more
Say,
bright sides to this story. Tibonage just made a tweet and it's really appealing. And you've heard Dr. Martin Mungwa, you've heard his own part of it. I feel like there's more to this, outside the fact that we have the international community's ear, and we also have to get them to dig into the cause, like Dr. Martin Mungwa said. I feel like there's more. Do you think so? And if there is, could you let us in on that?
yes. You see, at the beginning in the Dr. Mongwa's monologue, we mentioned a number of things, a number of cases that we have dealt with. Among them, the African Commission Communication 266. If you ever had the opportunity to read Communications 266, it's a long document and enumerates all what what is being repeated now, what we're saying right now, is all enumerated in Communication 266. What was it all about? It was Cameroon, it was Ambazonians complaining in a court of law what La Republique has been doing to them They were dragging people from Bamenda to Yaoundé to try them. They were beating people up. They were doing all this is cited there. But this is done in Cameroon. These were Cameroonians doing it to us. And the court found that they did all these things. They were there. It's not something that was done in the absence. They were there in court to answer those charges. They said, oh, you did it today, you killed this, you took someone's head, you carried this guy from Bamenda, you carried this one from Boya, you did all this. And they say, yes, we did it, but they tried to explain it. But whatever is the case, at the end of the day, they were found liable for all those things that they did. The court, the ICC thing, the Banjul thing, Communication 266, is an international jurisdiction, which is a commission for people's rights. It's a human rights court. It found Cameroon liable in all these illegal, manifestly wrong human rights violations. That was of the own acts done in their own country, found by an African court to be completely wrong. Now we have the opportunity. This case is being tried somewhere else in the United States. The United States is a haven of the human rights world. If you want human rights anywhere in the world, come to the United States. The president himself can be prosecuted. Nobody in this country, senator, president, congressman, whoever, even Bill Gates, you violate human rights, you are before the courts. So we'll have the best opportunity now to add this case to the list of cases that we already have that are dealing with Cameroon. Communication 266 is just one. The other one, this one that just occurred when they went to Nigeria and adopted people. That's a grave violation of human rights. It is there against them. It is written there in black and white. They have the judgment. So this thing is only going to help us. It's going to multiply the evidence against them. How does it help us? Communication 266 said that Ambazonia, Southern Cameroon, are a people who are entitled to self-determination, including independence. But Yaoundé accepted. But they went further to say for Southern Cameroon to exercise the right of self-determination and independence as per the African Charter, they have to go further to prove that there was massive human rights violations against them. That's Communication 266 that was passed in 2009. According to them, in 2009, the evidence of showing massive human rights violations was not in the file. This was 2009. That's what they were saying, even though we had it there. From 2009 to 2022, 10 years, a little bit more after that, we have this mountain of evidence. Then if we were to go back to that very African Commission and say, well, you say you didn't have evidence. This is evidence, sir. Look at the evidence before you right now. This is Maapi. This is Ngarubo. This is Bali. This is Pinyin. And you can name it. Who else would then say you don't have evidence on which to base and practice your right to self-determination based on the violations of your human rights, human dignity? Why do nations exist? They exist so that the citizens might live in peace, enjoy some freedom, enjoy some human rights, to live as human beings with some dignity. That's why nations exist. When you break these fundamental rules of common human survival, that nation will disintegrate. International law allows that. That's why new nations are born every day. That is how Southern Sudan was born. Sudan, the Khartoum government had treated these people like dogs. Dealt with them, killed them. They won their independence based essentially on violation of human rights, their rights. And so they won. So this is all going to increase the mountain of evidence. Can they hide from this? No, this is, in the United States, anything in court that comes out of the court becomes public. His judgment will be published anywhere. The trial will be followed by everybody that wants to know. And so we have a better opportunity. Again, what we did not want this because this matter can end even as soon as tomorrow. Matter can end tomorrow when the
Yes,
lawyers raise.
but
Oh,
yes,
go on.
Barrister Ambisia, thank you so much. Just like you were saying, the matter can end tomorrow. And I was even coming to that. Dr. Mungwa made mention of bail. He made mention that Comrade Machin was released even without any dime paid and all of that. Now that got me wondering, bail. Where can bail come in? At what point can bail come in at this point? And also, I don't know why Francis Comrade Chin was released and others still held on to. I don't know how we can look at that, but that on one side, when we talk about bail as it concerns or as it concerns judicial proceedings, where can it come in this particular case?
Now, bail in this type of circumstances is granted by the court. What is bail? Allowing you to be free, coming to court when it is necessary until the matter is disposed of. But in this unique circumstance of this case, where the three defendants live in three different states, when they unsealed their indictment, each of them was somewhere else in a different state. By the American law, you had to take that person, wherever he was, to the nearest federal court.
Okay.
It is that federal court that will say, okay, we have judicial notice that you are ordered to appear in Kansas. And then give the FBI, whoever are transporting that, based on this court order, take him to Kansas. The initial court that you appear before it, be in Minnesota, be in New York, be in California, has the right to give you bail. So we're granting you bail right here. Take him to wherever it is, or just leave him go, charge him there any day you want him in court. He will appear in Kansas. They have the right to do that, which is what happened here. And so, if they do that, that's great. If they don't do that, you are all going to end up before one judge in Kansas. And the idea of giving you bail pending the trial of the matter would come up. Bail is giving you freedom while the proceedings go, because it takes time sometimes to do a whole case. It could take some 6 months or more. And then you should be free. There are rules that govern why you are giving bail. There are offenses that you don't even ask for bail because they will not grant you. Offenses for which, for example, if you were guilty, you are going to be sentenced to death or you're going to go to life jail. So what does freedom now mean to you, assuming that you are going to be guilty? Those are known as non-bailable offenses. Any other offense for which, if you are guilty, you go to prison for 6 months,
Circumstances
you
that
pay.
we are in now, we're asking, what is the possibility of bail? Because
That's what I'm trying to,
has been
that,
released.
that
So,
was
what is the
explaining. Maybe,
possibility of bail for Chi and Nesto?
well, that's what I was trying to explain to you. She appeared before his own judge, the first person
Okay.
before whom he appeared. They did not give him bail. Because for you to have bail, your lawyer has to present certain facts. For example, to show that you are not a flurry, you're not going to run away. You're not a guy that will disappear into the thin air and they will not find you again. The offense itself is not that you should go, that they cannot obey you now. And so that's what happened to Chi.
Okay.
He was not given bail. Lamni has not yet made an appearance before the court and no bail has been demanded of him yet
Okay.
because he's still in transit. When he appears before any judge, for the judge to give you bail in the first place, the demand is made by your lawyers. A lawyer must present himself and say, well, this is my client, and plead your
Okay.
cause where you have bail. Lamni has not appeared. He has not had counsel yet. When he has the opportunity to appear before a judge, a lawyer will be there, will ask for his bail, and then he will be granted bail or something will be said about that. That's the situation. If a judge, like the case of Chi, refuses to give you bail, you can come back to that very judge. I mean, when I say you, I mean your lawyer, and explain that your refusal to give this man bail was based on some mistakes or on some information you did not have. We now have the information, for example, to say, well, this is the guy, this man cannot run. Why? Because he's a married man. He has small children in the house. He lives with his family. Is he going to leave his family and run away because the church says that if he is guilty, he will pay 50,000, he will pay 200,000 or something? No. He's not going to run away. Say, don't fear that he can escape. But even if you want to fear that he can escape, he has a passport. Keep his passport. He's not going to fly like a bird. You can go back to the very judge and give this information that probably the judge did not have at the time he or she was refusing bail. You will still be granted bail. But let us all understand as we move forward that yeah, we're going to win this thing. But it's a difficult journey. It's a slow journey. You have to stumble and fall. You have to pick the spoils. It's not going to just move as if you are living from McDonald's to this place and eating and going back. No, that's not how it works. But rest confident that it is going to turn out better for us than ever. We have used this opportunity to explain to the families of the ones involved. Nobody wants to get into this situation where you go to court every day. Nobody likes the court anywhere in the world. But if it comes your way, you have to brief it. Don't just expect wonders to happen. The judges who are refusing you bail, who are trying, they don't know you. They have not known you. They are not even Ambazonians. They are not even Africans. So they have no reason to hate you. They could make a mistake. Yes. But don't just come out, oh, they hate me. No. Unless there's no reason why they should hate you. Okay. Explain yourself. Let your lawyers do it.
Yeah.
And the lawyer that you are calling your lawyer, a lawyer defends you based on the information you give him or you give her. The lawyer is not a witness. He's acting on the story as told to him or to her.
Yes. We acknowledge that fact, Barrister Bassier. All right, Dr. Mungwa, what has happened? Do you think that the spirit of Ambazonians may be dampened? Or do you think that there is something about, or do you think that everything is under control? If yes, we would need you to give some assuring words to Ambazonians watching worldwide. Do you think they should be careful their moves or any form of security information that they need to keep themselves sound with?
Oh, absolutely. I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is a great opportunity for Ambazonians. This may actually be the silver lining. This may be the silver lining. Now that this case our comrades have been indicted on these charges, as I said earlier, these charges it's a window of opportunity to get into Ambazonia and see exactly the criminal cabal that has been killing our people from La République du Cameroon for the past 60 years. This might have been the only trigger that will lead into any meaningful understanding and the ultimate rescue of Ambazonians. I want to assure Ambazonians here, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. America is not a kangaroo or a banana republic with kangaroo courts. Do not be afraid. For those who are old enough to remember the O.J. Simpson trial, where O.J. was caught on the Interstate 405, escaping from the scene of the crime. It was supposedly stated that he killed his wife. We saw that on television. The FBI came, he was arrested, and ultimately what happened? He was set free. He was set free because the evidence did not match. So this sort of high sounding or very media show of our comrades being their homes being broken into and arrested by the FBI. Don't be afraid. The FBI is going to do its job. They are going to provide the evidence based on the instructions that were given to them. And then the judge, the court will sift into that evidence. And that's where you see justice play its course. So I'm here on behalf of the interim government and on behalf of President Sako. I am telling Ambazonians that you should actually be jubilating, because at the end of this trial, we know who is the criminal, whether it is our comrades or the criminal enterprise in Yaoundé, headed by Paul Biya and all his ministers, whether it is Felix Mbayu or Diongute and all the other ministers that, or Atanganji and all the others who are actually behind the scene uh, managing this genocidal war against our people. We will come to know exactly what part they played in this process, and they will come to book. I can assure you that with the evidence that we have, Ambazonia will be free. That's all I have to tell you today. Over to you.
All right, definitely Ambazonians will be free. All right, sincerest apologies to everyone probably waiting for a time to call in. We didn't think that would have that enough time, because I mean we have a legal mind in the studio. We felt like for you to learn a lot from all the happenings around those right now. So we didn't find the need to have you call in, but we promised that, you know, in our subsequent bulletin with Dr. Mungwa, you definitely have an opportunity to call in. But before we wrap up this show this evening, Barrister Mbesa, you want to also add some encouraging words to Ambazonians from the legal aspect as well before we wrap up.
Thank you. Let me remind ourselves: if the people has ever made mistakes, if they are ever behind this case, they have made the saddest mistake in their lives. And this is why these people are being tried under the American legal system. They have lawyers provided by the federal government. The federal government has all the resources to invest, because they are all American citizens. They are named there, American citizens, American citizens. The American federal government has the resources to pump into this case, the resources that Cameroon never even has. Among the resources that they may have, or that they have the right, they have the possibility of saying, well, I want to go back to Cameroon, I want to go to that Ngokutunja, whatever, the physical spot, and see what happened there, and see those kidnappers and talk to them. The American government will give them visas to go. The American government will pay them air tickets. They will give them all the resources that they need. And then, of course, they will not go to Cameroon without a Cameroon visa. Take this, my word, seriously. You may be surprised that if they went to the embassy and say, okay, give us visas to go to Ngokutunja and find out what is going on there. They will deny visas. Cameroon does not want them to come there. If given visas, they go to Yaoundé, they will say they want to go to Ndop. They will not be taken there. They don't want them to go there, because when they get to Cameroon, they don't know where Ndop is. They don't know where Ngokutunja is. Somebody has to take them there. The government will refuse them going there. Because the chances are that if they go there and they ask, who is the man who kidnapped Cardinal Tumi, and found the guy, it might be an amber boy created by Tanganji or some of these government people. So they will not let you go there. They will not let them go there. They have this practice, which I've always cited here, the battered woman syndrome, which is this. If I have a man married to a woman, he's treating this woman so badly back in the home, at home there. The family wants to come and hear what is the problem. The man knows that he doesn't give salt. He doesn't give oil for this woman to cook. He doesn't even buy high dresses. He knows that when the family will come and sit down, they will blame him. So what does he do? He tells his uncle, his brother wants to come hear the matter. No, I don't want stranger from my house. I don't want me stranger from my house. I don't come. Because it's a shame that when they come there, all these things will come out and he'll be terribly ashamed. The wife will just even go away. The marriage will end there. I might find it difficult even to find another wife who will undergo that terrible process. So they have attacked the wrong people. They have brought their case to the wrong jurisdiction, which is turning out is going to be a blessing in disguise, as someone has said before. Ambazonians, rest assured, this is not the time to panic. Again, I've said the journey could be long. The longer the journey, the better for us, because we want all the facts to come out. I said the matter could end tomorrow. We don't want it to end tomorrow. Tomorrow, the judges, the lawyers can raise an issue, and that will end the matter. And all these facts will not come out again. But if they let this thing go on trial, these facts will come out, this evidence will come out, and we'll be ashamed. Personally, I don't want it to end tomorrow just because they threw it out. I want it to follow the process. So we'll send these lawyers to Cameroon to go and unearth the evidence. They show us where are the nuclear weapons. Who kidnapped me? They go to Mbiame, wherever he was talking there. He was sat there, if you saw his video, he was sitting where in Mbiame and said, where the village is gone. They go to Mbiame and say, where are the villagers? What happened to you? And so on and so forth. So it's a blessing in disguise. Yes, the three people cited, indicted, will suffer some pain. They will suffer some delay. They will suffer some moral injustice for now. But at the end of the day, everybody will be smiling. Everybody will be smiling. God uses situations to save bigger ones. Let me just consider themselves as victims of a better tomorrow. Again, well, they are just in a trial, which they will win. Some of our boys and girls have been killed. People have lost their homes. Old women have lost their lives. Children, innocent children of 6 months old, have been killed. They are never going to come back to life anymore. And so, rest assured, this is a blessing in disguise. We challenge them. The complainant, I want to see the complainants. It will not first, it will start the end right there. Nobody is going to show up. Say, I'm the complainant. If they are prepared to show up, I hear somewhere that Mr. Binglo is somewhere in the United States now. Let him go to the district house right now and say, this is me, Binglo. And profile he was kidnapped by these guys in the United States. Thank you very much. I wish we have learned something from it. Thank you again.
Sure. Thank you so much, Barrister Tim Mbese. Of course, we definitely learned something from it. We always learn when you're here. Thank you so much, Dr. Martin Mungwa. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing time in the liberation movement with you. So you, Mbese, but this is where we draw the curtain to a close. This is a thank you for tuning in. It's been amazing also having you. Are amazing. We're going to draw the curtain to a close now and say good night to you. Are amazing, and God bless you. We'll leave you with ABC Amber TV images. I am Star Smart, and
I am Onye Okbala.